And also, I did a few songs, my friends and families. Well, this might come in two parts because it just went off. Radar. So RKs Guyana Free Media in the raw. Ghana fines all companies for failing to honor work obligations, while Guyana embraces non-compliance, according to Kaiteure News. And this is from Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP. The Republic of Ghana fines all companies that fail to deliver on the work obligations committed to in the contracts in order to deter inactivity on the oil block. Guyana does not. Instead, Guyana has embraced non-compliance with work obligations by granting extensions, and this came after Mr. Trotman of the APNU AFC signed off and signed away everything. There was no proper mechanism or item or product put into law or into procedure and into systems, friends and families. And so Guyana actually allows it, but we have to put an end to it. And I think this PPPC government, with President Irfan Ali, Vice President Dr. Jack Dale, and the Prime Minister of Guyana, the power that he is, Brigadier Mark Phillips, and the entire cabinet, inclusive of Bishop Wanegil, that they're going to deal with this ferociously. In petroleum agreements, the work program is a feature. It holds the contracted company to a minimum work obligation to complete tasks by a certain period, and that is important, my commentary, because we have to pay for everything, ladies and gentlemen. It is as if we are hiring them. They are billing our government. They are bilking us. They are milking us. I don't know if the 2015 to 2020 government was bereft of intelligence or sense. That they sent a man who didn't read anything, who said he was instructed to sign. Friends and families, we have to investigate to see why he said that under heavy international interrogation. He said he was instructed by the president and others of his time, that is the APNU, to sign that thing, virtually closing his eyes. But what about his intellect? It is his signature on there. He has no evidence. He's only possibly making an allegation, they will say, when it comes to the point of answering. The contractor would have to complete a seismic study or drill a well within a specific period of time. In addition, the company would be required to commit a budget to each task. The African Center for Energy Policy is a think tank that conducts high-quality research, analysis, and advocacy in energy and extractive sectors in Africa. This is good. We need to establish one in Guyana. In a report titled Petroleum Contracts Monitor 2019, a public interest report, the firm said that Ghana's petroleum agreements have an exploration period between 6 and 7 years. The periods are subdivided into 3 phases with specific milestones and expenditure requirements. An initial phase, the first extension period phase, and the second extension phase. The company can move on from initial phase to the first extension period if it has satisfied the minimum requirements under the initial phase. The rule also applies for the transition to the second extension. I want to skip some of those paragraphs for time purposes, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm very concerned that we have to pay these people. Imagine if they go, they're supposed to be investors, and they're billing us for the interest if they borrow money, and then they drill a well which they know had oil, and they didn't file oil. They're billing our government. Our tax dollars have to pay them. This is completely ludicrosity, including for ExxonMobil, Total, whatever they are, especially CGX as well. This is an excerpt from a petroleum agreement with Swiss African Oil Company Limited. Work accomplished in any period in excess of the above obligations may be applied as credit in satisfaction of obligations and called for in any other period. So according to the Swiss, if they finish beforehand, that can go as a credit in their benefit. Without prejudice to Article so, should contractor fail to perform its minimum work obligations under Article so, an amount equal to the unspent amount of the minimum expenditure obligation for the relevant exploration phase. GNPC is a Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, the state entity charged with exploration, licensing and distribution of petroleum-related activities. When it comes to Guyana, there is no such provision to hold oil companies accountable for the failure to honor their work obligations. We have no such agreement, according to the Kaiteure News. So we have to ensure, ladies and gentlemen, that they can be held accountable. We're giving them a time limit. If they can't, they have to pay us. And we must not pay them for anything. They are here to invest. They are here not to bilk us and to drain us, that everything that we possibly collect, they're going to suck out of us and more and leave us in debt and enrich their shareholders and their directors. In fact, one company, CGX Resources Inc., held on to the Demerara block for 8 years without drilling a single well, despite being required to drill at least one well within the first 4 years of having the license. He just did nothing. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I said before and I said earlier, they found no oil in a well and they're going to bill us for billions and billions of dollars. And they usually known, these oil companies, to exacerbate, to up their costs, to make it look like they're spending more money to bring countries like us into degradation and disgrace while they enrich themselves. At the end of the 4-year period, CGX was required to give up 15% of the contract area or the entire block and renew the license for another 3 years. In 2017, it exercised the opinion to relinquish 15% of the block and renewed its license for 3 years. The David Granger administration approved the renewal, even though CGX did not honor its work obligations completely. So what President Granger, former president, and what his people were doing, along with Trotman and all the others, I mean, it is cause for depression and worry as to what these people really meant to do to Guyana in order possibly, as it is said, to enrich themselves. Further to this, the petroleum agreement notes that if it acquires the renewed CGX, the CGX should drill 2 wells. Instead of honoring this, it approached the condition regime. It approached, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, in the raw, walking, reading, pain in my heel, and so on, and getting dark, getting nervous. Instead of honoring this, it approached the coalition regime in 2017 to approve a work program with fewer obligations. The addendum states, and I have to go to page 19, so hold please.